Alright, today's footage is from September 9th, and we spent the morning trying to work on clearing the final few feet to get to this oak tree that we wanted to have taken down. So Emily came and helped out and got some practice on the backhoe, which is always fun. And while she did that, I spent some time with the chainsaw and worked on getting some of these logs cut up. They are now in our firewood stand, or our campfire firewood. This didn't take too long to finish getting cleaned up. And by the time we got finished, she was actually getting pretty good. I think this is the third time. That's the oak tree we're trying to get to, by the way. But I think this is the third time that she's been on the backhoe, and she's starting to gain a little bit of confidence. A lot of this is more of that serviceberry that had, as you saw, that was a pretty good sized trunk. And you can see all these little, there's just tons of branches. They just all fell over at one point and kept growing. So from there, we realized the neighbors had already started working on our little driveway area, so we paused that project as soon as we could, as soon as we got to that oak tree, and then we came down. And it's a father and a son and a son-in-law, and they're all professional fellers, which is pretty awesome. So this, trying to pan up and get a shot of how tall these trees actually are, and to help make sure they go in the right direction, they would climb, as you can see, and then they would tie a rope off and then go back a ways, then start doing their cut and pull on the rope while it falls. That way you guarantee it goes exactly where you want. It was a pretty exciting morning, and so I showed up, and as you see, they were already taking them down. There goes another, and another. I title it, felling trees with the help of the neighbors, but it really was the neighbors felling a bunch of trees for me, and I'm just trying to see what I can do to help. They have a system going, and they did a pretty sweet job. And then they'd go clean off everything. Normally they would buck the logs into smaller chunks so they could manage them, get them into they actually brought a wood chipper that handles up to like a 10-inch log, I think. But it handles huge logs. But a lot of it, we talked about it, and they knew I wanted to try and save as much of it for building. I'll use a lot of it for like log furniture. For the smaller stuff, I'll use anything that's, I don't know, 6 or so inches and larger. I'll actually mill into little 1-inch boards that we can use for cabinets, for flooring, walls, wall cladding, ceilings. And this is actually a job that Emily has talked to me several times about. She does not want she doesn't want me up in the trees. She finds that's a little more dangerous than she's comfortable with. Although I did actually at one point, I I had the climbing gear in my hands at our local service saw store. They have a whole setup, and I decided I wanted to get a roofing harness instead at the time. So we've got a roofing safety harness and not a climbing gear. But this went pretty smoothly for the most part. I mean, by the time we got here, they had already felled. I think that last one you saw in the video, I think that was number 5. It goes surprisingly quick when you do this. So we told him to say thanks. We went and picked up some steaks, and we did a steak and potato dinner for him, which was kind of a little bit frustrating because we realized since there's at this time there was a burn ban, I had originally planned on cooking the steaks over over some coals on a campfire, but that wasn't an option, and we don't own a gas grill. So about I don't know, at some point here I had to pause and ask the neighbor, do you have a gas grill by chance that we could use to cook dinner? And he was like, oh yeah, sure. So here he goes cutting another tree while they're climbing up to get another one ready. I tried to get some interesting footage, and it sort of turned out, we'll get to that in a minute, it sort of turned out more annoying than not. It was fun to watch it on the phone, but on a screen, trying to rotate the footage didn't work. So that's what I'm gonna do here is like try and get the whole tree as much as I can. There it goes. These aren't the biggest, biggest trees in the world, but I sure appreciate their help, because while they're not, I mean, I think the biggest one that they felled here is the one that he's about to climb over here. And it was 18 inches in diameter, I think. Oh, I guess there's a rope hanging there, so he's already climbed that one. But the smallest one was about 10 or 12 inches. And this one was actually big enough, and it was kind of leaning back into the forest, which is not the direction we wanted to go. So we've actually got 4 of us on that rope pulling some pressure, and since he was just going around to make sure it was leaning the way that he wants it to lean. And there we go. Now it's a matter of just cleaning up, and then at this point there's 2 more. So basically coming in, you can see the highway there in the left. You come in off the highway and there's a super sharp 90-degree turn right after. Actually, it's a little bit less than 90 degrees. It's like, I don't know, 85, 87 degrees or something. But if you've got a trailer, even just a little camper trailer or boat trailer, 20-foot trailer is long enough that's a frustrating turn sometimes. So the idea is that we're going to clear this area out and then bring the road through here. So it'll make a nice gentle turn that if I need to, I can actually have a 53-foot trailer come down into it. That's the goal. So there's this one last tree that is very. They're trying to figure out the best way to position things, the rope and whatnot, because it's got a lot of weight on one side. And then there's one last tree in the background at the moment that they'll go fell, and that's actually going to be the future driveway for the milling area. So I'm not worried about that, but I spent the last 3 nights actually working on digging up these stumps. Most of them went okay, but the 2 bigger ones were definitely a struggle. So if you watch on my phone or watching my hand here, I'm trying to keep as much of the tree on the screen as possible, which is kind of fun. And like I said, if you're watching it on the phone, it's actually kind of a cool video. You'll see here, this is stabilization. Pretty easily since there's a big red orange X paint on it, so I literally put these pieces of screen. These logs are heavy too. I mean, so pay attention here. This is that last tree. I didn't even realize he had gone back there to do it. No, I take that back. I was over there because we were talking and joking about he might hit the fence. Now comes the challenge of cleaning that one up. It actually did fall on the driveway, so I figured instead of worrying about trying to buck it up, I'd bring the tractor over. And so there's a mailbox right here. We actually don't use it. It's an old newspaper mailbox. But you'll hear in the I believe the next scene, the next video clip, he'll make a joke about that, refer to it. But now the driveway is at least clear, and like I had specifically told them not to worry about bucking these any more than they had to. That way I could make sure I got lengths that kind of suited what I wanted. So switch here to again, I'm trying to stabilize it a little bit more. Trying to figure where the best spot to stand was. We got to repair the fence anyway. These are big trees. This one is 120 feet tall.
Good?
Inside.
Last chance to check your mail.
Money. That was money.
All right, so we'll get back to the GoPro's footage. Got to gather up my gear. And then the next step is the oak tree. So we'll come up here and get positioned for that. We're gonna come back in a bit. We cleaned up a good chunk of this with the can't think of what it's called. I just told you what it is earlier. The wood chipper. Total brain fart there. And now that I'm actually watching this, I believe I actually just forgot that the footage was there. or forgot that I was recording. So what I'm doing here is we're getting the oak tree ready, and clearly I forgot to put the park brake on the tractor. I'm quite surprised that it was moving that much. Huh. So, because this tree is leaning towards downhill, so away from me, the goal was to use the tractor to put as much weight as possible. The challenge that we ended up having is that this one wasn't anywhere near as tall as we thought. They were used to those ash trees down there and just assumed, I guess, that it was taller. And you can see him climbing the tree. But they ended up giving me too much rope, which caused a bit of a problem because the driveway curves as it goes uphill, and I kept running into the uphill bank as I was trying to back up because I was paying more attention to them and the rope than I was like kind of where I was going, and I guess subconsciously I was just thinking that I needed to stay away from the right side, the downhill side. Or I don't know, maybe he was just a little worried that, wanted to make sure the tree didn't hit the tractor or something. But either way, we did get it down there. The footage is just not ideal. The wind actually moves that tree quite a bit up there. So now we've got a little bit of pressure, and start that cut, and then backwards I go, and by this point I can't even tell what I'm doing. I just kind of pulled until I couldn't pull anymore, and then saw the line vibrate. That was the only sign I actually had that it had actually gone down. So I had to holler and double check, but everything went smoothly. And there's one less tree in our forest. Well, like 11 less trees. So here's the wood chipper. I think there was actually too many of us, but we ended up with two trailers full of the wood chips, and no clue what they'll be used for. But like I said, I'll put the footage here how it was actually recorded. Stay safe out there.
We gotta repair the fence anyway.
Good?
Inside.
Last chance to check your mail.
Money.